Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Sorry for the late video. I changed my schedule at work because today is my birthday. Not trying to work late. Just after this video, I'm going to enjoy my birthday. All I can say about it is time flies, it goes quickly. Before you know it, we'll be celebrating Christmas. But yes, today's my birthday, and it's Friday. My birthday fell on a Friday, which I'm happy about because it hasn't been on a Friday in a while. But in any event, I am here today and I'm checking in with everyone to see if these videos are helping you. Let me know what you're getting from these videos. And if anyone is getting information that I've been sharing to help you with your grief and your depression, and to just do things to help yourself with your physical and mental health. It's just like when you have to go to the doctor for that annual physical and you go to make sure you're okay, you have to do that with your mental health as well. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you for sharing the video. It seems like everybody has been sharing the one video in particular, the one where I talk about surviving 9/11. Thank you for doing that. There's new people here. Thank you for being here today. You're going to learn a lot of things about what I do in order to help me with my mental health. And, I've been talking to a lot of people, and they've been telling me about the grief that they've been going through. I met a woman and spoke with her earlier today, and she was telling me about the grief. And, my heart went out to her because she, broke down in tears as she talked about losing her spouse and, and how it changed her life forever. And I understand that I've never been married and I don't have a spouse, etc. But just losing people who meant so much to me in my life does matter. Like my mom, my dog, and one of my good friends. In any event, it's just the grief can be overwhelming. And she was talking to me about it, and I told her I had this channel, and I told her that I was at the point, guys, of the depression where I just didn't think I could make it. And I told her about, a little bit about the video I did about the 9/11. We talked about it. And I told her I was 8 hours in that place of darkness. And thank you guys for watching that because to me, that was in some ways, a lot of ways, worse than the pandemic that we had to shut down. That was scary enough. But the 9/11, as I talk about it in that prior video, was so overwhelming because, as I said, my son was only 2 years old at the time. And I was stuck in near the World Trade Center for 8 hours that day. And as I, because you couldn't just get out once this happened and turn around, make a U turn and get out, because once that second plane hit, everything just, you know, it was just a matter of minutes before the smoke, and the smoke started to get thicker and thicker to the point where you could barely see anything. You could just hear people screaming and you hear that thump. And, it just, that's something I really, wanted to share more details with my therapist about because I really try to not talk about that. Um, but like I said in all my other videos, it's important that I do, and I was glad that I was able to share that with you guys here because any trauma or PTSD, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but any trauma of any sort can, if there's no outlet for it, guys, it stays stagnated within us. And then we start to have problems later on in life from it, And I don't want that because those things affect your physical and mental health as well. So once we find an outlet for those things, it doesn't mean that we're vulnerable and we're weak. No, it's not. I used to always be taught that crying is a sign of weakness. No, crying is a sign of an outlet for the pain that you're experiencing. Weakness is just holding on to that pain because if there's no outlet, this is how people have illnesses, because they're stagnated because of pain and things that they're not dealing with. Like I learned years ago, what happens in this house stays in this house. And maybe that worked back in the day, but the day we live in today, there's so much help out there, people. And it's important for us to gravitate to that help. You don't have to broadcast it and tell other people. And it doesn't mean that you weak. Actually, it shows your strength to go and get the help that you need to take care of yourself. I do it all the time. I'm not ashamed. There's no shame to this whatsoever. And also, I want to tell the newcomers here that I am not a therapist or social worker of any sort. I don't have a license or a degree in social work or as a therapist. I do have a degree, but not in social work or being a therapist. What I'm doing here on this channel is sharing. I'm sharing information with others on what helped me when I was at the lowest point of my life. I mean, lower than the ground kind of energy. And I didn't know if I can get back up again. It was real, real bad. And, but God brought me through it. I stay in prayer a lot. I'm not religious, people, no disrespect for those who are, but I am a child of God who believes in God and have a relationship with Him. And that's important to me, my relationship with Him, because God was the one who brought me through all those dark trials and tribulations and all the horrific stuff that I discuss. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here on this channel to share with you. But if I can do it, and I did a lot of these things alone. When I say alone, in a natural alone, not God is always with me, and I had to fight through a lot of things, and it wasn't easy. It's still not easy. It's easier today, but it was never easy. If it was easy, I guess everybody would do it. That's what they say. But I learned, and what one of the lessons I learned is who to keep in my life and who to let go. And the topic that we're discussing today is letting go of toxicity. And that's what I had to learn through these lessons. And I didn't learn it the first or second time. It's like a Ferris wheel to me, going around and around and around and around, and, getting knocked up, meaning getting, beat up on the way, because if you don't learn a lesson, you have to repeat it again. And repeating lessons is not fun, because when it comes around, that's why I'm describing a Ferris wheel. When it comes back to you the second time, it's going to be worse than the first time around. And I didn't want that. And I had to learn, and it took time to see, because when you're going through grief and depression, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about the loss of the loved one, the loss of a pet, if anyone had that experience like I did. And it's not easy because you feel this cloud over you. And it's hard to even get up to just take care of yourself, better known than to just think about what else is happening around you. And therapy helped me with that. Weekly therapy, grief therapy that I do with a therapist every week. Whatever area you live in or state, please Google a therapist in your area and then connect with one. And also with a bereavement group, because people at those groups are going through the same type of grief, or even worse in some cases than what you're going through. And they have tidbits that they may share that may help you as you go through this grief process. And I promise, with time and with just, taking care of your physical and mental health, it gets better. You never get over the loss, but you can get through it. And never let the pain stay stagnated. If you need to cry as an outlet, let yourself cry to feel that. And you don't have to share all your stuff with everybody, your business or whatever. Just do what you need to make yourself better. Because it's important that you take care of your physical and mental health, especially at that particular time. Because if you don't take care of you, you can't give to yourself, as I always say on this channel, and you certainly can't give to anyone else. So it's important to, do that. And here's some of the ways that I do that. Music, just a playlist of music. Put on your favorite playlist of music. And if you just need to be alone for a while to listen to that just to get through the day, then do what you need to. Find one or two things that you can do that you enjoy during the day. Make time for yourself to do that. During the shutdown, it was kind of easier to do that because none of us could go anywhere except for the supermarket and back. So I started listening to affirmations and positive videos. And one important factor, people, is I had to learn how to love me and had to learn that I was worth it. And that's one of the steps that you will take as you start to feel better and get better. And with the healing process, learn to love yourself, not to be in love with yourself, but to love yourself enough to know that you're worth it and that you deserve the best in life. Embrace life to the fullest instead of just existing. Some people are in this world, they're just existing. They're not living life to the fullest. And that's what any of our Passover loved ones will want us to do. They never will want us to stay in a place of stagnation, depression, and sadness. They would want us to live our life to the fullest. And that's so important, people. And I had to learn to do that. Do things that make me feel good and not be codependent on other people, because people will let you down at any given time. I had a conversation with a sibling years ago about something, and everything depended on um, her partner at the time. And, you know, she had to learn that, after the marriage ended, you know, that she had to do for herself because it's not good to be codependent on other people because that person may not be here anymore and or that person may leave or something. So what do? It's important to, I'm not saying that you don't depend on people for whatever specific reasons, but you don't, I myself don't become codependent on individuals. For me personally, I'm not going to tell people here on this channel what to do. I'm just sharing what helped me. I was subservient and I was codependent for a long time on other people, no matter whether it was family, relationships, whatever. And I just had to learn to take care of myself. And when I say take care of myself, I'm not talking about financial, being independent. I always work and take care of myself, but not rely on other people. Like when I got depressed about something or something was going on, and just because people are going to let you down, they're not going to be there all the time. And in my case, when I started to lose people out of my life, they start to pass away. I started to realize, hey, there's nobody here. The people who I thought would be there and they had my back and they're going to help me through it was nowhere around. It was the people who I least expected that came around to help. And, and that's what I believe God was trying to show me. Look at your circle of individuals. Look at these people that you have around you. And when all this stuff happened and started to fall apart, because it was death after death every week, it seemed like, or every 2 weeks, somebody was passing away. And nobody was around. But whenever somebody else needs something or they want something, I was being subservient to them. And I did that for such a long time. And I had to learn to love me, to take care of me, that I matter. I come first, And that's what I'm sharing with you guys here, that you do matter. You're going through grief, you're going through a hardship time. You matter. You are important. Look at the mirror. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am worth it. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That's on them. And if you're in a space of trying to get better and you truly want to get better and heal, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Because if you don't take care of you, how can you do for anybody else? and it's important. You do matter. And I had to learn that. And therapy, the steps, little homework that my therapist would give me, make a list, pros and the cons of a situation with these individuals. And the cons outweigh the pros. And so I had to make some decisions. And one of the things that he had taught me is to set boundaries. And I didn't know how to do that at first. And I learned quickly how to set boundaries. When somebody show up at my house uninvited, unexpected, you know, and I would just make excuses. And then as I started to feel better and the clouds started to lift, from the grief situation, I started to implement those boundaries. People didn't like it, but oh well, because they were overstepping these boundaries and being intrusive, and but they were not there for me when I truly needed them. I started to address those things, and it wasn't easy because I was scared at first, of losing people out of my life, because I always felt it's better to have them there. Somebody's in a house, somebody is over here, kind of energy, but it's not good if it's toxic, because it's just it's not good for my physical and mental health. So as I start to address these issues, people didn't like it. They kept trying to overstep boundaries. And then I would address it maybe once more or, three times, and that's it. Like in baseball, three strikes, you're out. And that was it for me. And little by little, people, as I did that, I start to feel better, you know. And I still have my moments of grief, and especially holiday time is so difficult because, my mom is not here, and I don't have her to talk to when things that I normally would talk to her about. But I do things like music, and then I'll take myself someplace, that I want to go. And, I go by myself if no one who are within my inner circle, if they're not available, I go myself, and I don't rely on other people like I used to, and I don't allow myself to get to the point where the depression is so bad that I can't get up, I can't do this or that, because I fight and fight through it. Like if it's not music, then I'll go out for a walk, I'll do something or go someplace I've never been before. And that cuts out the, routine that I have on a daily basis, and just do something different. And that's what I'm asking everyone here to do. Take it one day at a time. It's not going to happen overnight. And like I said, music does really soothe the soul. And listen to videos that are uplifting, that's going to help you. And if you do have people in your life who are there to be there for you in your time of need, because in most cases with people who are grieving the loss of a loved one, they just need someone to listen. And a person who's listening, no one can really bring back the loved one, but sometimes people just need somebody to talk to, and for that person to be there and listen to them when they need a ear to listen to is so important. And I didn't have those things, but I tell you one thing that God was showing me is that the church was there for me. I mean, when that happened, I had a lot of losses. By the time, my dog had passed away, after my mom had passed away, way before that, but my dog, and I was just overwhelmed with, everything, because my pet was like an ESA pet to me. I took him many places I went, and it was just overwhelming. And the church came with flowers. They came with sympathy cards. I had the pastor take me when it was time to put Rocky, my dog, down because he had fell. He got arthritis in his paw. And as he was coming up the step, he fell. He missed the step. And I went to grab him, but it was too late. He had fell backwards, and then he got nerve damage. And I don't believe in putting animals down, but 2 weeks, I did everything. Acupuncture. I took him to an acupuncturist, and it looked like it was working for a minute. And then a day or so later, he'll regress, and I take him back then to the hospital. and he was an older dog. They didn't want to do surgery. They wasn't sure it was going to work. And then the pastor came with me, and while we were there, I just couldn't go in. I mean, they had hooked him up to the IV. I kissed him, and I left. I couldn't watch that, and I just said to her, the pastor at the time at the church that I attend, um, when it's over, um, bring me his collar. And when she came back with the collar, it was like had hair on his hair on it, and I just broke down. I couldn't handle it. Even today, it's hard, Just but Rocky was my pet to spoil. He was a good dog, and I just cherished the time that I had with him. And, just all I can say to people when it comes to grief, whether it's your animals or loved ones, just, make sure that you have an outlet for the pain. And what I'm talking about now, just having people to listen, that's another outlet for the pain, because you're not walking around holding that in. Because the more you hold it in, the more stagnated and that you become, and more you can get into depression, and we don't want that. This is a space where people can comment and talk about what they're going through, what they're feeling, and these are just tips that help me, and I'm hoping that it helps you, because I don't ever want to hear about anyone being in a space of depression to the point where that they're suicidal, because there's so many resources out there today. And that's the message today. Um, you all deserve the best in life. Don't let anybody else tell you. And if you have people around you telling you that, establish boundaries is what I'm going to say, because that's what I had to do. I had a lot of, um, what's that term they use? I can't even remember. Is it called Mary Downers? I'm not sure. Don't laugh at me, people, because I'm not sure. But there's an expression. I can't remember it right now. Where people are just negative all the time. I'm pretty sure some of you have come across that. If you had a great day and you're in a good mood and you're laughing and silly, and then somebody said something to just bring that mood right down. I had people like that around me, and I had to get rid of it. Because I'm a type of person, like I said before, I like fun things. Um, just, I'll say this quickly. My mom, when I grew up, my mom used to go to Coney Island. I don't know how many of you know about Coney Island in New York. And one of the weirdest things to me was she loved the cyclone. And she could ride it and ride it and ride it. I got on there once, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And then we went to Disney World, because even though she worked a lot, she did make time to take us on trips all the time. And I look forward to the trips. Like, we went to Disney World in Orlando, and there was this big ride. I don't even remember what it is now, guys. All I know is that I got on. I was terrified when I got on. And then there's an escalator there, and all these mirrors that are on the wall, and you see your hair and how you look after you get off the ride. I don't know. Comment and tell me what's the name of that ride. I was so terrified. My mom got on that again because she loved that kind of stuff, but I didn't. I think my sisters got on too. But we always were traveling as a kid, always going someplace. She loved to travel. One time, shortly after I had my son, and she went on a cruise, and I wanted to go, and there was something she said about they do have babysitting on a cruise, but I couldn't afford it. And she goes, "Okay, I'll send you a postcard." Stuff like that. But, I enjoyed stuff like that when I was a kid. We did so many things like that, and I miss talking about that, because when my mother was here, I would talk about all those things we did, and she would light up, so much about it. And that's what I miss, having those conversations with her. But in any event, I'm glad that I had the time with her, and that I can keep her memory alive, and that I can share here on this channel. And hopefully this is going to help more people. you know there's no shame here. Everything is about getting better, so that we can live life to the fullest. So that's the message today. is to take the time take the time to do something positive today. Something that's going to make you laugh, that's going to uplift your spirit, and get rid of toxicity as much as you can, because we already live in a world where everything on a daily basis seems to be spinning out of control. So take the time to do something that's going to uplift you. Thank you, and enjoy the weekend. For some reason, this weather is so hot. It's been for the last 2 days. So I hope everyone is going to have a great weekend, do something fun, and I'm going to go and enjoy my birthday. And I will be back on Monday to see you guys again. And I hope everyone will continue to share these messages and subscribe to the channel. And I'll have a new message for you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. Bye for now.